In a valley nestled between towering mountains, where the rivers ran clear as crystal and the forests whispered ancient secrets, there lived a dragon. But this was no ordinary, fire-breathing beast of legend. This dragon, with scales that shimmered like 1,000 emeralds, guarded the valley, not with flame, but with a solemn promise, a pact of silence. Its voice, when it last spoke centuries ago, had rumbled through the very stone of the mountains. Tell one lie, it had warned the villagers, and from my slumber I will awaken. And with that, it had coiled itself upon the highest peak, its great form becoming one with the landscape, a silent, sleeping guardian. For generations, the people of the valley lived in absolute peace, bound by the dragon's decree. Truth was the currency of their land. It was woven into the fabric of their daily lives, from the marketplace to the hearth. A farmer would tell his neighbor precisely how many bushels of wheat his field had yielded, no more, no less. Children playing games would admit when they were caught without a moment's hesitation. The air itself seemed purer, lighter, unburdened by the weight of deceit. The valley prospered, a sanctuary of honesty in a world often clouded by falsehood. They called it the Valley of Unspoken Lies, and it was a paradise. But paradise, as it often does, attracted envy. A merchant from a distant land, a man named Kale, arrived in the valley. His heart was a knot of greed, and his tongue was as slick as oil. He saw the valley's prosperity not as a result of its people's virtue, but as a treasure trove ripe for the taking. He watched the simple, honest exchanges and scoffed. Fools, he muttered to himself, their trust is a weakness I can exploit. He didn't believe in sleeping dragons or ancient curses. He believed only in the power of gold. Kale began his insidious work subtly. He started small, whispering in the marketplace. Did you hear? He'd say to one farmer. Your neighbor's harvest was twice what he claimed. He's hoarding grain while you struggle. To another, he'd suggest, the baker is using cheaper flour, but charging the same price. He's cheating us all. These were not grand, elaborate deceptions, but tiny, venomous seeds of doubt. At first, the villagers dismissed them. They had lived their whole lives in trust. But Kale was persistent. He nurtured these seeds, watering them with more whispers, more insinuation, until the first fragile roots of suspicion began to take hold. A wife began to doubt her husband's word. A friend looked at another with a flicker of mistrust. For the first time in centuries, a lie was told, then another, and another. Each one was a tiny tremor, unnoticed by most, but not by all. Deep within the mountain, the great emerald dragon stirred. A single eyelid, vast as a shield, fluttered open. The first lie had been spoken. The earth beneath the valley trembled. A low, guttural groan that sent birds scattering from the trees. The villagers, startled, looked to the mountains, a prickle of forgotten fear crawling up their spines. They didn't yet understand. They blamed the tremor on the shifting of the earth, a natural occurrence. But then Kale, emboldened, told his biggest lie. He stood in the village square and proclaimed that the village elder was secretly plotting to seize all the land for himself. It was a vicious, calculated falsehood designed to shatter the last vestiges of unity and create chaos he could control. This time, the world did not just tremble. It roared. The ground split open, fissures racing across the once perfect fields. The mountain peak where the dragon slept began to crack and shed rock, a landslide of stone and fury. The sky, once a brilliant blue, turned the color of a bruise, and from the summit, the great dragon began to rise. Its massive form, once mistaken for a part of the mountain, uncoiled, shaking off the dust and rock of ages. Its emerald scales, which once shimmered, now glinted with a cold, terrifying light. Its eyes, twin pools of molten gold, burned with a righteous anger that had slumbered for centuries. The dragon was awake, and it was furious. Panic erupted in the valley. The people, their web of trust now in tatters, turned on one another, shouting accusations, their fear fanned by Kale's lies. The very air crackled with the poison of deceit. The dragon let out a roar that was not of fire, but of pure, soundless rage, a wave of pressure that flattened crops and rattled the foundations of every home. The silence was broken, and chaos reigned. Amidst the terror, a young girl named Arin stood still. She was known throughout the valley not for any special talent or great deed, but for a simple, unwavering quality: her honesty. It was not always easy. She had been teased for it, for admitting she broke a vase, or for telling a friend a hard truth. But it was who she was. While others ran and screamed, Arin looked at the chaos, at her frightened friends and family, and then at the magnificent, terrible dragon on the mountain. She understood. The monster wasn't the dragon. The monster was the lies that had awakened it. With a deep breath that filled her small lungs with courage, she began to walk, not away from the mountain, but towards it. Her parents cried out for her to come back, but she kept going, her steps sure and steady. She climbed the treacherous, newly broken path, her gaze fixed on the great beast. The dragon watched her approach, its massive head lowering, its golden eyes narrowing with suspicion. It saw a tiny human, a member of the species that had broken the sacred pact. Arin stopped at the foot of the beast, so close She could feel the heat radiating from its scales. She didn't flinch. Looking straight into its ancient, knowing eyes, she spoke, her voice clear and true, cutting through the distant sounds of panic. "Great dragon," she said, "I have not come to fight you. I cannot undo the lies that have been told." She glanced back at the valley, at the discord Kale had sown. "But I can offer you the only thing I have. I can offer you the truth." The dragon remained silent, its gaze unblinking. Arin took another breath. "I was the one who accidentally let the sheep out of the pen last spring, though I let my brother take the blame. I once told my mother I was sick to avoid my chores. I was jealous when my friend won the foot race, and I didn't congratulate her, even though I pretended I was happy." She went on, confessing every small mistake, every hidden hurt, every truth she had ever concealed. No matter how insignificant, she laid her soul bare, offering her own imperfections as a testament to the difficulty and the power of honesty. With each confession, it felt as though a small weight was lifted from her heart. As she spoke, a change came over the great dragon. The furious fire in its eyes began to soften, replaced by a deep, ancient wisdom. The tension in its colossal form seemed to ease. The rumbling in its chest quieted. When Arin finished, her voice hoarse, her cheeks wet with tears, there was a profound silence. Then the dragon spoke, its voice not a roar of anger, but a deep, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate in Arin's very bones. "Truth," it said, the word echoing through the valley, calming the shaking earth, "is the only flame that truly heals. Your honesty has soothed the wound that falsehoods have torn in this land." With a slow, deliberate movement, the dragon lowered its great head and gently nudged Arin's shoulder, a gesture of grace and acceptance. It then turned its gaze upon the valley. The villagers, who had watched in stunned silence, saw Kale trying to slink away, his deceit exposed. But the dragon's gaze found him, and though it used no fire, the weight of its ancient, truthful stare was more than he could bear. He fled, his greed turning to ash in his mouth. The dragon slowly, peacefully, coiled itself back upon the mountain peak. The cracks in the stone sealing themselves, the sky clearing. Its eyes closed once more, returning to its long slumber. The valley was saved. The people, humbled and ashamed, looked at one another. They saw their folly in the clear light of the truth Arin had shown them. From that day forward, the story of Arin and the dragon became the valley's most sacred lesson, passed down from parent to child. They learned that lies, no matter how small, awakened monsters, breeding fear and division. But honesty, brave, and unwavering, is a power far greater. It is the power that tames dragons, and more importantly, the power that tames the darkness within themselves. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like this video. Leave a comment with your thoughts and subscribe to the channel for more tales from worlds beyond. We'll see you in the next one.